Okay, we're baking today. I'm going to show you my happy starter. A couple things that I'm going to show you. So you have a KitchenAid mixer. This is a Pampered Chef mixer. It's essentially the same thing. Has different speeds. The dough hook, that's what you need. And your bowl probably all looks virtually the same except the mixer part. Starter, salt, flour, and then your filtered water from either your refrigerator or whatever you bought. So yeah, so that is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so one thing I didn't show you was a Danish bread whisk. Not necessary, but very useful. You can buy them on Amazon, or if you're like me and I send money directly to China, I buy it on Temu for $2.98. Amazon, $20. Don't judge. Okay, my happy healthy starter. I have my scale on and zeroed out. Zero out, very important, because otherwise you're gonna have your bowl on there and you're not gonna have a clue what you're doing. So we're gonna do 100 grams of starter. This starter in this jar is enough to make probably 3 loaves of bread. I'm gonna make 2. And then I just like to save the rest for the discard, for cookies, for banana bread, blueberry, breakfast cake. There's all kinds of recipes that I'm gonna send. The ones I have that I've tried, I'll send them to you. Okay, 100 grams of starter. Zero out your scale again. You're gonna do 350 grams of water, which is essentially a cup and a half. You can measure out a cup and a half, but I would still measure your water in grams, because what says a cup and a half could very easily not be 350 grams of water. Oops, I went over. Went to 362. I don't want 362 because then your bread's going to be way too hydrated and it will be hard to work with. So I'm just gonna take a spoon and get that out. Doesn't have to be exact. So I got 351, that's fine. Grams are the absolute exact, I don't know, the best measurement. That's why baking is always in grams. It's like the smallest form of measurement. So if you have 351, it's not a huge deal. Or 355 probably isn't a huge deal either. I'm gonna leave that open because I'm gonna move my phone up there in just a second. Okay, now I'm gonna zero that back out and I'm gonna add 10 grams of flour, or sorry, 10 grams of salt. If you go over on your salt, not a huge deal. I've done 16, never noticed anything, but if you forget the salt, your bread will be gross. So don't ever forget the salt. Then you're gonna give this goobery mess. Okay, so now you're gonna mix that up. As you know, that starter looks a lot like snot. And now you have your water in your starter, and then this is what shows up on your whisk. If you're not gonna have one of these right away. If you want to order one, that's fine. You don't. It's not necessary. You don't need it. You can use a fork or a very stiff spatula. But this thing, I don't know why, but it helps mix things up. So I cleaned that off of there, but when I put it back in there, it's gonna pick it right back up anyway. So probably not a huge deal. Okay. Now we're gonna do 350 grams of, or sorry, 550 grams of flour. I'm gonna zero my scale back out. And you just start dumping in your flour to 550. 550 is not, I mean, if you Googled sourdough, which I'm sure you have, everybody does it different. Some people add olive oil, some people add honey. to make it a little sweet. That's pretty basic in a sandwich loaf, but when you're doing an artisan loaf or what we're doing, I wouldn't put honey or sugar in it. But I do know people that put olive oil in it. So it's just kind of a preference thing. My friend that taught me how to do sourdough, she does 500 grams. I couldn't get mine to work because it was way too hydrated. So I added the 50 grams because I have another friend who does 550 grams of starter or of flour. So I mean, it's you can play with it a little bit. I would never go over 550 grams of flour. And I would never go under 500 grams of flour. But okay, so you're just gonna mix your flour in like a basic mix, and then we're gonna put it on the mixer. But you can just scrape your sides, kind of get all that flour off. And it's nice with this whisk or even with your fork, you're gonna have a bunch of goo on there, but that goo is actually gonna grab that flour off there. Now, it's not super important that you get all that off. You just don't want a ton of dry bits in there. Okay, then we're just gonna kind of smash. Smash, smash, smash. It gets really stiff in this stage. So, okay, since we're putting this on the mixer, I'm just gonna, this is about where I would stop. Scrape those sides one more time. Because it's easier to clean this bowl when you have dough in there than it is without the dough. And then you just clean off your fork or whatever with a knife. It just scrapes right off of here. It's nice. When my friend told me about this Danish bread whisk, I was like, do I really need that? Probably not. And I waited a long time to get it. But cleaning dough out of a fork can be kind of a pain. And this, I don't know what it is about it, but it's something in the shape, and it's like offset here. It just helps mix everything up. So again, not necessary, but useful. Okay, so I'm gonna get my mixer ready, put on my bread hook, and I'm gonna switch you back around. Okay, so we're gonna throw this onto the mixer. I mean, honestly, this is virtually just like a KitchenAid, just fancier and digital instead of the knobs or whatever. So you're gonna mix it on one speed for 20 to 30 seconds. I'll show you kind of how it's looking as we do it. So I'm gonna turn that on to 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and go. So here's the 1 speed. It's just picking up all those dry bits in the bottom. Because you don't want the dry bits, because that's obviously that's loose flour. So we got about, I don't know, that's about 15 seconds. Dry bits are virtually gone. I'm gonna turn that up 1 notch to 2. You'll do 2 for 20 or 30 seconds as well. I'm going to turn it back down to 1, and I'm going to shut it off, and then I'm going to pick that up. See, it just kind of cleans off of there. Scrape that off your hook, and then I like to just kind of give it almost like a flip if you can. It's stiff, it's sticky, sorry. So I just kind of flip it over, and then I put my hook back in, do 1 for another 20 seconds or so. Balls it right back up, it's nice. And then I'm going to turn that back up to 2 for about 20 more seconds. great ball. It's getting stiffer as it goes, and that's what sourdough does. I'm gonna crank that back down to 1 for, I don't know, 10 seconds. And stop it. So that's your dough there. Okay, so then we're gonna clean off that hook again. And this is ready to switch into your bowl with your markings. Remember, always have the markings. It's very important, those visual cues. You kind of learn that with your starter, so you know when it's doubled. But probably the bread even more important. So then I'm going to use my Pampered Chef. This is the middle-sized Pampered Chef bowl. So you have a small, you have a medium, and you have a large. This one goes to 16 cups. So we're going to throw that in there. No matter what vessel you're using with the markings, make sure it at least has 8 cups, because that's kind of where it goes to, just below 8 cups. So scrape that out of the bowl. And we're switching this because this one doesn't have markings on it, right? And I know, unless you have the glass, if you have the glass KitchenAid bowl, which you might, I don't know, I think that has markings on it. Just remember that glass is colder and it will take more time to rise. So if you do use the glass mixing bowl, the glass KitchenAid mixing bowl, I would kind of like wrap a towel around it, because glass takes longer. It's weird. Each vessel, each material changes the way your dough rises. So I use a plastic bowl sometimes, which I like the way it rises in there, but it's faster than this metal bowl. I still have to use this metal bowl because it has markings. My plastic one doesn't. Now when I use, like today, I'll use this bowl and my mixer bowl, and they rise at virtually the same amount because it's that stainless steel. They're the same material, same vessel, getting the same temperature flow. Your dough will get like hot, warmish, not hot, but it lets off heat. It's a living, breathing thing, essentially. So now I'm just pushing this down in here so that it's kind of flat in there, so I can see where it's at, and I know my starting point. And it's gonna grow a little bit as you stretch and fold, and that's fine. But it starts, I don't think that you can see this, but maybe it starts just under 4 cups. I usually use a 4 cup starting point. And then we're gonna go to the rise is going to be just under 8 cups. If you go over 8 cups, you're gonna have a mess. You're gonna have a sticky, gooey, goopy mess, and it's not gonna shape well. So you wanna keep it under 8. Yeah, I kind of wish that there was a 6 in here, but we go with 4 and 8, and it works just fine. So that's done. I'm going to grab my shower curtain, or my shower cap. Okay, so I have a shower cap, which you think I'm crazy for. You can use your lid, but you can't see with your lid on. You can't see what's happening. So with this clear shower cap, you can see everything that's happening. You can monitor your rise level without disturbing the moisture inside of here. Because if you have the lid on, especially if you've made it tight, which I think I've gotten that you don't want anything tight. Because if it's tight, it's not gonna breathe, it's not gonna grow. Take that off and then it's gonna blow up. It's happened. So the shower curtain, you're gonna be able to see where the doubling is at. It's gonna be great. But it still keeps the moisture in. It can breathe, it has moisture, so you just put that on there like saran wrap, but cheaper, because I'm pretty sure that the package I got from Walmart has like 15 and it's 98 cents. So this is what you want. Okay, so we're gonna let this rest for an hour. I like to wait an hour for my first stretch and fold, and then I'll do another one 30 minutes after that, and I'm done. When you use a mixer to do your first initial mix, I'm not gonna say it strengthens your dough, but it gives it a more even mix. So if you did this by hand, you're not going to get as aggressive as a mix as you will with the mixer. Some people who use a mixer don't ever stretch and fold. I still like to, because I like to grow the strength and the integrity of the dough. So, and that's what the stretch and fold does. It adds air and helps the gluten chain, which then as it ferments, the gluten chain breaks down. But, so still stretch and fold, but not as many times, like 1 or 2 times. So it's good.